Zach Edey is a projected lottery pick in the upcoming 2024 NBA Draft. Coming off a season where he led Purdue to a college basketball championship appearance, the 7'4" Canadian sensation has been cause of major debates heading into the draft, deciding on whether Edey is the league's next dominant big man or a bust in the making. But before he was a two-time Big Ten Player of the Year and top prospect, Edey had no interest in basketball at all. Growing up in the 6, Toronto, Canada, he was the biggest kid in the classroom and everywhere else for that matter. But Edey was intent on sticking to baseball and hockey, sticking out like a sore thumb being the tallest kid on every team. Despite coaches telling him he should focus on basketball, Edey had no love for the hardwood and had major dreams of going to the MLB. At 11 years old, Edey began taking baseball to the next level, throwing 70-mile fastballs with dreams of being the tallest pitcher in the major leagues. And he was well on his way to doing it until he outgrew the sport, running into shoulder problems due to his size. At this point, Edey had no choice but to pick up a basketball. And in his 10th grade year, he did just that, where he would make major strides early into becoming the player we see today. The very next year, Edey packed his bags moving from Toronto to Florida, where he would transfer schools to play at IMG Academy. After just a year of playing the sport, Edey had moved away from his family to pursue a brand new sport in a brand new country. The adjustment wasn't always smooth, and he initially struggled to keep pace, but with time, Edey's confidence grew and his knowledge of the game along with it, blossoming into a 3-star prospect with offers from Western Kentucky, Baylor, and Purdue, where he would eventually sign his letter of intent to continue his development. In his freshman campaign, Zach would only be a role player for the Boilermakers. At 14 minutes a game, he was the defensive spark plug for Purdue, and in limited time, he could only show flashes of what he would become, averaging 8.7 points and 4.5 rebounds through his freshman season. The next year, Edey made multiple appearances in the starting lineup and started to get more opportunities to showcase how he had developed in only his 5th year playing basketball. His improvement was evident as he averaged 14.7 points and 7.7 rebounds, becoming a key contributor. During this season, Edey played his first minutes in March Madness, where he flirted with a double-double, finishing with 16 points and 9 rebounds in a matchup against Yale. Purdue was eliminated in the second round by Texas, and with Jaden Ivey departing for the NBA drafts, fans questioned who would take over in his absence. Zach Edey had developed into a key contributor, but nobody expected anything more from a 3-star Canadian prospect who had only played basketball for a few years. Nobody could have predicted what would happen next. In his junior year, Edey surpassed all expectations and became a star. Averaging 22 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game, Edey transformed into one of the best players in college basketball. He gained national media attention and quickly became a fan favorite. Zach's junior year ended with him lifting the Naismith Award, being named College Basketball Player of the Year. This Canadian pitcher, with no intentions on picking up a basketball, earned the highest honor in college basketball with less than 10 years experience in the game. It's safe to say Edey was on the top of the mountain, heading into March Madness tournament after leading Purdue to a 29-6 record and the number 1 seed of the tournament. All expectations were for Purdue to make a run. Until it all came crashing down. Purdue would be eliminated by 16th seed FDU, eliminated in the first round, ending their tournament run quickly. This was the first time we really saw a crack in Edey's armor. Even though he played well, scoring 21 points and grabbing 15 rebounds, we saw national media quickly start to question his ability. Edey and Purdue went into the next year looking to prove to the basketball community that they could live up to the expectations, and Zach did just that, winning his 2nd straight Naismith Award, joining an elite company of players like Oscar Robertson and Pete Maravich and Michael Jordan. This time around, Edey would lead college basketball in points on his way to the national championship, where Purdue will once again fall short. Even though he couldn't win a national championship, Zach Edey still has one of the best resumes of any other player headed into the 2024 draft, a draft class that many scouts say is one of the worst in history. So that brings us to the main question: why so much concern around his draft stock? Doubters point to 2 main reasons, the first one being the competition level of the NCAA. For example, check out the draft last year. Wemby and the Thompson twins are both products from outside of the traditional college basketball scope, and more players are taking different paths to the league. A lot of fans say that he has never faced any top-level competition at his size and pretty much just feasted on the little guys because he was way bigger than everybody else. The next reason his draft stock might slip is because of the death of the traditional big man. When I look across the league at the centers dominating, I'm looking at guys like Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, Anthony Davis, and Victor Wembanyama, all big men who allow offenses to stretch the floor by knocking down the deep ball and finding shooters by commanding double teams in the post. Edey just doesn't have the jump shot or playmaking ability that the modern NBA big man has, and he can limit an offense. And even though he was a great rim protector in college, Edey could easily be a defensive liability in a league that gives slow-moving centers a lot of looks in the pick and roll. And add that into the fact that he won't always be the biggest guy in the room in the NBA, you're looking at a prospect who might just not add up to modern competition. But there is one thing that nobody else is taking into consideration when it comes to Zach Edey. Basketball isn't even his favorite sport. He still has a lot less experience than your average NBA prospect and a lot of room to grow. If you ask me, I think he has a higher ceiling than anybody else in this draft class and the potential to be built into an all-star caliber player when it's all said and done. Over time, with the right squad, he could develop a mid-range jumper and court vision. And when you add those to his strength and post presence, you could be looking at one of the best centers in the league. Personally, I'd like to see him land on the Mavericks to pair up with Luka Doncic, or San Antonio to host a huge front court with Wembanyama. Thanks for tuning into another League Alerts basketball breakdown. Hit subscribe for more hoops content, and don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts on where you want to see Zach Edey land and if he should be a top 10 pick in this year's draft. Till next time, hoop heads, peace out.